Good morning, everybody. What's going on? Welcome back to Movie Mornings. I'm your host, Martino, and today is a special edition of Movie Mornings where we are going to talk about Star Wars Celebration in pretty much its entirety. What are these great announcements? What are these 3 new movies that are coming to the screen? I can't wait to get into it. And it's not just me here today. Also sitting here with me is Mr. Jose Espinel. Jose, how's it going today, bud?
What is up, man? I'm glad to be here. It's just a great week to be a Star Wars fan because there's just so much that has been dropped for us to react to that we've done videos on previously. And I'm just ready to, honestly recap and get into all the stuff that we have to talk about here today.
Yeah, guys, make sure you subscribe to the channel because you want to get all the Star Wars Celebration content that we have here and get notified if anything comes out in the future. Like the video as well. Leave some feedback in the comment section because that helps us out a lot. Make sure you hit the bell for notifications when you do subscribe and share this with your friends. Okay, let's start, man. I have a few things I'm just going to get right into right off the bat. Star Wars won the weekend. There's no doubt about it. I mean, this weekend belongs to Star Wars, and it's huge because I'll tell 100%. You why. I mean, first of all, anytime I say anything positive about Star Wars, people just accuse me of shilling out for Disney, and I promise you, no, that's not the case, because if you look hard enough and you try hard enough, I promise there's been plenty of times where I've criticized Disney Star Wars. They've mismanaged it 100%. I'm not going to sit here and deny that. What I won't do is go the Anakin route and walk the path of hate, though. You know what I mean? Because I'm telling you, man, if we just keep sitting here hating, we're all going to be miserable as fans, and that's something I won't do. I'm going to criticize things as they come out. I'm going to like what I like. And I think that this weekend really put into perspective for me that that's kind of the case for majority of the fans. You know what I mean? I've seen the Daisy Ridley hate videos this weekend, and I ignore them. I'm not doing that. I'm not going to watch them because the thing is, man,
I didn't even know this existed, honestly.
Oh, they do already. But the thing about it is there were just as many people cheering for her when she got announced, man. There was a pop in the audience, and people can be in denial all they want, and the people that make those types of videos don't realize, man, like when that movie comes out and say you go see it, you don't like it, you're going to come home, you're going to put on Disney Plus, you're going to have Ahsoka, you're going to have Acolyte, you're going to have Mandalorian, you're going to have Obi-Wan if that's for you, tons of things for you. Everybody's different, man. We're all going to like different things. And even the Obi-Wan panel put into perspective for me. I like the show. I don't love it like I wanted to, but there are plenty of people that do, man. I mean, there were plenty of people turning out for that panel too. Those are the people that buy the tickets. That's who they're trying to please. And you can bitch about the Rey thing all you want, which we'll get into all that here in a minute, but you can bitch about the Rey thing all you want. Fact of the matter is she sells tickets. Those movies made money, and we have to start accepting that, and that's the reason it's happening. I've heard people bitch about this idea, but those movies sold tickets, and there are plenty of people that aren't in the online space but did go and buy tickets for Celebration that love these things and love the things that maybe I don't even like so much. You know what I mean? Like Obi-Wan, I was lukewarm on, but there are people that love it. You know what I mean? So
and honestly, going through those favorite scenes from each individual person on the panel, there honestly reminded me that there are good parts of the show.
Yeah.
While I didn't really enjoy the show altogether, there were parts and bits from that show that I really did truly
100%.
enjoy. When it comes to the performance of Hugh McGregor hitting Christensen, oh god, I forget her name.
Vivian Blair. Yeah.
That's her name, yeah. Especially her. Oh my gosh, can we just talk about her? How
that
professional
kid is going to take over the world,
stage,
man.
Like, she give her the company because man, she is just so professional with it, man. She just knows how to put herself on the stage and how to talk in front of big audiences like that. When I was her age, I probably would have crapped myself. I'm not even kidding you, man. That
kid, yeah,
man. She's trained very nicely.
That's a double threat right there. That's an actress to be reckoned with. I mean, she's going to have a career, and she's really lining herself up to be in a good spot.
She has a career already. She's just gonna keep growing that career.
Right.
She's just she's gonna skyrocket, man, because she is just so good, man.
Oh, 100%. If we don't get more Obi-Wan by next year, if that's not an announcement by next year or the year after, I guarantee there's going to be more young Leia stuff. I guarantee it.
100%.
Because she's gonna make people watch, man. And
she's gotten so much praise, like it's crazy.
I mean, there's so many exciting things happening over the weekend, man. I mean, Andor, you know what I mean? Andor season 2 being teased this weekend was awesome. And it's my favorite thing Disney's done with Star Wars, man. And the fact that they're bringing this back and we're getting the rest of it and the things that Tony Gilroy and Diego Luna were saying about the show and kind of the direction they want to head. And, a lot of people bitched about Tony Gilroy, kind of avoiding lightsabers, which is another thing I want to talk about here in a second. But the fact that he was like, he kind of avoided the usual Star Wars whatever, to me that was refreshing. To a lot of people it wasn't, and that's fine. But one of the things that he recognized in his interview, and I love this, is he looked at the fans and he said, you guys are the ones that are keeping the show going, so we'll do things for you. You know what I mean? He's like, he's not doing it to be a dick. You know what I mean? He's not avoiding those things to be a jerk. He loves the fans. You guys got to watch that interview, man. I'm telling you, because Tony Gilroy loves.
He's honestly
fans.
Really. It was really refreshing not seeing a show fully focused on lightsabers.
Yeah,
it was good to kind of take a step back from And to be honest, I was looking forward to a show not fully focused on lightsabers, because honestly, most of the lightsaber fights that we've gotten right like now aren't like the best compared to the originals.
Yeah,
I'm just hoping that they bring back amazing lightsaber fights, amazing lightsaber fights. But yeah, honestly, especially with something like Andor, I wasn't really wanting lightsaber fights, because you really think about Andor, there's not really gonna be much lightsabers in there, because it's about a rebellion or a rebel and his life and stuff like that. So yeah, it was really refreshing not seeing any lightsaber fights in Andor.
Yeah, and Filoni himself said about Andor, the thing that I used to get yelled at about by fans that didn't like Andor is that it is THX 1138 inspired. It's still inspired from George. That's what people don't realize. Right. Like it's still a George Lucas inspired show, to me, even more so than the rest of them. And in a lot of ways, and I love that about it. To me, that's Andor touches on the things I love about Star Wars most, but that's not going to be for everybody. And that's not to say, and now we'll get into the Ahsoka trailer, that when we do get something with lightsabers, with all that, with that Star Wars meat, with the spiritual force in it, I'm just as excited as everybody else. When you see that Ahsoka trailer, this is probably going to be the show that mends the fan base. I'm not kidding. I really think so. And the reason why is I'm feeling it again, man. I'm feeling the most hyped I've been since the time between Force Awakens and Last Jedi. I'm back there. And
honestly, like that, the lightsaber fights that just from the trailer, I already know the lightsaber fights in this show are going to be probably the best that we've seen in a very long time in Star Wars. And like you said, honestly, seeing this trailer is making me love Star Wars a lot again, back to compared to kind of some of the other stuff, because it's been very hit or miss. But this looks like it's from Ahsoka on, it looks like it's just going to be all great stuff from Star Wars, and I'm really super excited.
And it's not just that. I mean, you're looking at the Return of the Jedi 40th anniversary panel just gets me hyped again. I mean, everything that came out of this weekend, this is the best celebration we've had in a long time.
15-year panel was also amazing.
Yeah,
all of it was great, man. I loved every single bit of the celebration. It was one of the best celebrations we've had in a while.
It's the best since Star Wars 40. I mean, I'm serious. It's the best since the 40th anniversary of New Hope that they did, because that was Last Jedi year, and we're back, man. I'm back anyway. I don't know about everybody else, but I bet you when this show comes out, people are going to be back, man. I really think when Ahsoka drops, people are going to be back. And the Clone Wars 100%. Panel puts a lot of things into perspective when you listen to Filoni, how touched he is by the fact that he was making this Clone Wars show that nobody really liked at first. And it's come down full circle because of these fans, because of us, that he had this thing on the back burner that just like kind of kept slowly growing and growing and growing on the back.
And it's aged like fine wine. And
and in a moment where you finish off the sequel trilogy, right? It's like the Skywalker saga per se. They're kind of like, okay, now where do we go? How do we keep making money off this thing. It's like, well, thank God Dave Filoni had this thing in the back burner that we could build off of and just expand the universe so much more. It's very exciting, guys. And I mean this because, yeah, I watched this trailer and I had reactions like I haven't had since the sequel trilogy was starting to, ramp up. And even like, I think really, and I don't want to harp on the negative sides of, this whole thing, but like you go back and I think it was really, I love the Rise of Skywalker trailer when it had dropped to Celebration. Of course, I was hyped for it, but you look at that and something just felt different at that time. Like that was when I feel like something just kind of declined there. You know what I mean? Like for my personal excitement. And I was excited. I'm a Star Wars fan. I saw it all and I watched everything and I was probably, I'm not going to lie, I got to the lowest point I was. That last Mandalorian episode to me was terrible. And I'm like, something feels different here. But, man, I am holding out hope. I'm not saying these next two are going to be any better, but I'm holding out hope. And I know, listening to Favreau talk about how they have to coordinate with what's going on in Ahsoka, that at least gives me faith that they are going to feel like significant episodes. And they are going to be the best two of the season, regardless if it's on par with season 2 or not. But everything, even if this Mandalorian season turns out to be subpar at the end of the day, for me, I'm still going to be hyped because I know what I'm looking forward to now. We have things to look forward to. That's the big thing. And
True.
They put up this whole timeline, right? And that timeline, that image, I cannot get out of my head since they put it out there because now I feel like they are paying attention to Old Republic. They're paying attention to the Dawn of the Jedi. Some of the things I've just been dying for. And now you have this whole other side of it with the new Jedi Order. That's something that's completely new. That's something we've never explored, is this new Jedi Order that Rey's going to build. That's exciting. They're paying attention to all of it now. I know, and I have too, been critical on Kathleen Kennedy for not paying attention to these time periods, but she was out there on stage. She rolled out this timeline. That means they are aware of what people want. They are giving it to us. That makes me happy, and I love it, man. Love that.
It's actually finally it's like she finally got slapped in the face with reality.
She's finally acknowledging the fact that this is such a wide mass galaxy, and we could play in all these different time periods. Finally, and I think I think at the end of the day, that's really what we've been asking for. Acknowledge it. Acknowledge that this stuff is out there and incorporate it. Use it. You have High Republic. Great. What are we going to do? We're going to make the Acolyte, right? And it's tying in to the things that happened in those books, man. We got the news that Vernestra is going to be a character. That is one of my favorites from those books. I am so happy that that's being carried over into the Acolyte series, and it's tying in. I listened to Leslie Headland say that was her biggest goal, is not making something new. Yes, that's a product of her own, but we have to pay attention to all the High Republic source material that we have, and we have to tie that in. This is the stuff we've been waiting to hear. It finally sounds like, whether it comes to fruition immediately or not, and we start to feel it immediately, it sounds like there's a plan in place that we are looking at all these different things. We are going to pay attention to canon. Even Tony Gilroy, when he was on the stage talking about Andor, was like, I am paying attention to all these different events that happened in the next 4 years leading up to Rogue One. Some of them you're already going to know, and we'll incorporate them because it makes sense. It makes sense to stick to the canon of this thing, of all these books that we've been putting out for the last 5 years that felt like it was for nothing. All this other material, it's all going to feel like it's going to pay off now. That's got me excited, man. I've talked a long time, Jose, and I want you to kind of roll off these ideas and jump off this. And what do you think, man?
I mean, there's also the fact that they're going to be using looks like a lot more Legends material too for their movies to kind of explain.
They're cherry picking, right, from this stuff that people love.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, as you guys can see behind me, I've got all these Legends books that, it looks like they're finally going to start trying to use a lot more to cherry pick from to explain, all the stuff that we're going to be seeing now in the future projects of Star Wars, which I'm really really excited for, because it's about time. Honestly, I think that's another thing that they were kind of really lacking, was using the original source material of what Star Wars was first. The beginning, before they bought it out from George Lucas.
Yeah.
And so the fact that they're finally be using, the Lee's Legends books a lot more often, looks like to cherry pick and explain. It's honestly really exciting. It gets me really super excited, and gives me a lot more confidence now in Star Wars again, that they're really gonna acknowledge what Star Wars was to George Lucas when he was first helming it, and really honor that side of George in Star Wars. Same, with Acolyte and Ahsoka and all these future shows that are coming. It's great to see that they're finally acknowledging all this, and that they're going to make projects based on the stuff that obviously George has, and the people who wrote these Legends books. Obviously, hats down to them for writing all the source material that will now be used in these future projects. It's great to see that they're finally actually going to be cherry picking from them a lot more.
Yeah,
it looks like.
And look, it's not that I never had an understanding of it. Believe me, I understood more than anybody. You cannot take the legend stuff and make it canon. You just can't, because a lot of it overlaps and contradicts each other.
Right.
You can't take it all and make it canon, but there are great stories. Use them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Use elements of them and make that official lore now. You know what I mean? That's what they're doing. They're like, obviously, heir to the Empire is something we're cherry picking from big time for Ahsoka. Guess what? Ahsoka wasn't in those books, but we could rework it and use this canon character to be a leeway into a similar story. But Thrawn was a big part of those books. And I'll tell you what, just jumping off your point really quick, you go back to, I can't remember if it was a D23 Comic-Con celebration, whatever, when they announced Thrawn for Rebels, just Rebels alone, the pop in the audience was insane. But it always felt like, okay, you had this thing that just got these hardcore Star Wars fans excited, and you always had this feeling of the powers that be weren't paying attention to what was making the hardcore group of fans excited. And there was always that feeling that, like, Kathleen Kennedy, because I'd heard the rumors, man, like Kathleen Kennedy was like, okay, we can't put Thrawn in live action. That's too inside baseball. People won't get it. But she's looking around the room, in my opinion, and starting to finally understand that you can make this work, man. It's all about how you execute it, how you tell it. And I promise you, this Ahsoka trailer, I sent it to 5 people that have no idea who the hell Thrawn is, but they love this trailer. They love this trailer. They said this is the best Star Wars thing they'd ever seen, because they're interested to learn now about Thrawn. You know what I mean? It's not so much about knowing who he is. It's about how you tell the story, and you can make this a thing for the masses, right? I look at the first 3 phases of Marvel. You think most of the casual viewers knew who the hell Thanos was? No, you build to it. You make it happen.
Right.
That's how it works. And they're finally looking at that model and saying, yes, that works. If you build to it right, if you make these stories for the masses, then there'll be stories for the masses. It's all about how you introduce it and you incorporate it. And it just feels like all this stuff is paying off. This motivated me so much more now with the Acolyte to try to read all this High Republic stuff. Now I want to go through it all before the Acolyte comes out. I want to reread Heir to the Empire. I will by the time Ahsoka's over, believe me, because, you know, there's... And it's exactly like you were saying, it's bringing this, and this is just smart business. First of all, it's bringing Legends material and canon material, you know, to the head. You know what I mean? Like Legends, not all of it. While, you know, mind you, I mean, trust me, Heir to the Empire will not be a verbatim retelling. It'll be something that's a new way of telling it. But you get Thrawn, and on the same hand, it's like, okay, I love, which they do really well with in the book sales, right? They mark these things legends, so you know that these are not official stories, right? So you read Heir to the Empire, you get through the Heir to the Empire trilogy, the original Thrawn trilogy, and you're like, oh, okay, and then you see how Ahsoka plays into it, and then you're like, all right, you know, that Thrawn guy is awesome, you know what I mean? That I see how that followed Heir to the Empire to a degree, but now I want to see, like, who Thrawn is officially. Well, you have canon books, too, that Zahn wrote, that is actual official stuff on Thrawn. And this is just going to expand sales for everything. That's business. And that's what I love about this celebration in particular. It was all just smart business. You know what I mean? It wasn't so much about, oh yeah, here's some things you already know. Sorry, did I cut out there for a second?
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
Okay, so it's not like it's smart business. It's not like here's a bunch of things you already know are coming. You know, here are the new things. Here's how we're playing it. It's all going to feel planned in a slate. But yeah, I don't know, man. What do you think on that?
Well, I mean, I totally agree with what you've said. Like I'm gonna read. I'm gonna reread. Well, I guess reread the first Heir to the Empire and then the other two because I haven't read the other two books yet in the original Thrawn trilogy. But I'm gonna go ahead and try and get as much of those books read as possible. But by the time Ahsoka comes out, just because
Yeah,
I know there's some really good material in there about Thrawn and even get to the new canon trilogy that Timothy Zahn also wrote about Thrawn, just because I know that that's all canon about Thrawn, and there's some really good stuff in there too. And even in like you said too, read as much of the High Republic stuff that I can before Acolyte comes out, because I know there's some really good stuff in there too that I'm gonna need to read. That's going to be an Acolyte, because that's another show that I'm really looking forward to, especially now that Sotoma is going to be a Wookiee Jedi in that show, and his character is also canon now too. That'll be his first appearance, and that character is gonna be its first appearance, and it's really cool stuff to see. Like I said, them kind of nitpicking from Legends, but also combining that with the stuff that is canon to make all these future projects. It's going to make it really interesting for other future projects as well that are going to come to us. It's just really cool stuff, honestly.
And immediately my mind goes to, and we'll start to transition to the movie announcements here too, because immediately let's start with this James Mangold thing. He's going to be doing the Dawn of the Jedi, right? He's going to show the origins of the Jedi. First of all, this should have been done a long time ago, if you ask me. This should have been getting in the war, which I think it was. I think that's what the Game of Thrones guys were doing, Benioff and Weiss initially, and I think that didn't work out for whatever reason. But James Mangold's a guy. He's coming off of Indiana Jones for the same company. They're confident. They're like, okay, Indy was so great. We want to put you on a Star Wars, and he agreed to it. And the project, you know what I mean? I feel like they definitely like gave him the pick for sure because of Indy, and he was probably like, oh, the Dawn of the Jedi thing looks interesting. I bet you he read the concepts from Benioff and Weiss and was like, I would like to play off this and see if I can retool this and figure out, how we can make this into a movie, which is so fascinating to me. And the first thing my mind goes to is where was the first Jedi temple? We saw it. It's in Last Jedi, Ahch-To. And now you can have Ahch-To in this movie and explain a little bit more about that. Boom. Last Jedi is enhanced as a movie immediately just because of that. You know what I mean? If this Dawn of the Jedi turns out to be a hit, you know what I mean? So boom, you've enhanced the Last Jedi right there. So that's enhancing the sequel trilogy for people right off the bat. So you got that. Now you move into Filoni, right? Filoni's movie. It's going to be the culmination of pretty much all the New Republic shows they've been making, right? Mandalorian, Ahsoka, Skeleton Crew, which sounds exciting. I do want to talk a little bit more about Skeleton Crew in a bit. Skeleton Crew, all this stuff that they got in this New Republic timeline, right? Or this time period. And then you go to Filoni. Well, okay, first of all, why wasn't Ahsoka in the sequels? You know what I mean? Why, all these questions we have about how it all connects, it all culminates into one big movie that's probably going to be more so based on Heir to the Empire as well, directed by Dave Filoni, who helped come up with all this stuff. And then boom, you've boosted your sequels even more because you're tying in to the sequel trilogy again.
Right.
A little bit, because now you're answering the questions. If these people were around, why weren't they around by the time we got to the sequels? You know what I mean? And how come we didn't have Jedi then? Well, you're answering that question, and that's going to be answered in Ahsoka and Dave Filoni's movie, and that's going to tie together with Mandalorian, with Skeleton Crew, with Book of Boba Fett. So you have this big thing, and that's a major boost for business too. You're getting the fans on board just by doing that. And then once all that is said and done, what do we got? Now we could build after all the sequel stuff. Now people appreciate the sequels again. Now we can build off of that. And then now we have a Rey Skywalker movie. It's the New Jedi Order, basically a Jedi Academy film, which I've been begging for at least a movie or a series, because the Jedi Academy stuff in Legends, you want to talk some great Legends material. Jedi Academy material is awesome. Those games are amazing.
I was gonna say I've got the trilogy books for Legends of that as well. Yeah, I've got the trilogy here in my collection as well, which is another one that I really wanted to get into because I know there's some really good stuff in that Jedi Academy trilogy series. But yeah, honestly, James Mangold's movie and this new Rey movie as well. I'm really looking forward to them. They sound like really cool projects. Yeah. As well as, of course, Dave Filoni's movie, which is also going to happen, which he described as a Mandoverse film, which sounds amazing. Honestly, because he said that he's also going to dive into some legend stuff as well, which I'm really excited for, because I know, if Dave Filoni, if his Ahsoka series is a success, then I just know that he's going to do amazing by this movie.
Yeah, 100%. And again, it goes back into what I was saying. This is the first time, because of everything I just said, like, it's the first time we're walking out of a celebration feeling like there's a plan in place. We have a plan to look forward to. It doesn't feel like
it's a timeline. Yeah.
And believe me, when I heard the rumors that Filoni might get a movie announced, when I heard the rumors of that, my mind immediately went to, fan pleaser. That's the only reason. But the guy earned it, though. I mean, again, this celebration put into perspective for me. This guy's earned it, though. He worked his way to get to a point to where he can do a live action theatrical film, and I couldn't think of a better one for him to start with. To be fair, because he does know the material he's playing with so well. Most of it's his own. You know what I mean? So that's what I'm saying. So this makes so much more sense. And also,
Dave Filoni's is like our new George Lucas, honestly, and honestly, I love it. It excites me, and I couldn't ask for anyone better to be at the helm of Star Wars than Dave Filoni himself.
Right, 100%, and not to even mention, or not to mention, the fact that I lost my train of thought. I had a really good point I was going to make on this. Oh, the Ahsoka trailer. When I saw the Ahsoka trailer, all of it kind of started to make sense for me. You know what I mean? Because now I'm like, okay, yeah, give Dave Filoni a movie, especially if the show delivers on the promise of the trailer, which I'm telling you, man, I look at that trailer. I've seen it 25 times now, at least.
Bro, same.
which says a lot about how much I'm looking forward to this. But on one hand, but it looks like in that trailer, when you're watching it, every shot looks important. It looks like every shot was thought about before they put it in there. Now, who's to say they just didn't cherry pick the best shots of the show and put it in the trailer? Who knows? Maybe that was the case. But I'm telling you, it feels important, man. Like, this feels significant. And if Ahsoka delivers on the promise, we have a lot to look forward to. I think that we should be very excited.
His movie's gonna be incredible, and I honestly can't wait, because again, like you said, I've seen that trailer I can't even count. Honestly, I've lost count how many times I've seen it. It's been that many times. It just honestly, it excites me for that Ahsoka show, and like you said, if it delivers, then we'll have a really amazing movie to look forward to with Dave Filoni's movie for sure.
100%, man, and it just feels like a solid plan. It really does, and I mean, I'll tell you, man, they're acknowledging Old Republic. They didn't announce anything for it yet, but they're acknowledging that it exists on that timeline, which means they're talking about doing Old Republic stuff. You better believe we're going to have Plagueis before you know it. You know what I mean? That's another thing we've been begging.
And that's
for.
One thing that I've been, if anyone knows me on this channel, that is one thing I've wanted since I became a fan of Star Wars, was anything about Darth Plagueis, a series, a movie, whatever. But I just want some Darth Plagueis the Wise stuff, because I mean, all we know about him is the story that Emperor Palpatine told Anakin, and I mean that's really all we know. And I just think that a Darth Plagueis the Wise centered project would just be perfect for Star Wars.
Yeah. If this, I'm going to call it this, I guess, New Republic Assemble project turns out as great as we're hoping, that needs to be, in my opinion, Plagueis, or Old Republic in general, I think should be Filoni and Favreau's next adventure, because honestly, we've already seen Favreau cherry pick from Old Republic for Mando. Like, I've seen the inspiration. He clearly is passionate about that, and I think that him and Filoni working together on that, once again, cherry picking from the Old Republic material that's already there, could turn out to be pretty promising, if you ask me. And there are Plagueis books, man, that people love, and you could use a lot of that story and incorporate it into an Old Republic thing. Am I getting ahead of myself? Probably. But it's something, it's an idea, man. It's like, this is my point. If you build it properly, good things will happen, man. And I think that we're onto something. Finally, it feels like it's been a drought, since I think Rise of Skywalker. It really has felt like, I mean, Mando's been hyped, don't get me wrong, for the most part. But it's never felt this good in terms of what to look forward to after the great things happen. You know what I mean? There's been diamonds in the rough. There's been great. I mean, Andor obviously is the best thing they've done, in my opinion. And so there's been these great, things like Mando season 1 and 2, Andor. But after that, it's like, where do you go? What do we had to look forward to, honestly? And now we have it, man. Now everything is being acknowledged, the things we've been asking for as fans. And you do those, especially with there not being a ton of attachment to a lot of these newer stories that they're wanting to tell. That's another smart thing, because now it's like, you know what? You do what you want. You know what I mean? You do what you want with those characters. Right. I just want to see stories within the time. And I think that's been a big part of the disconnect in the fandom is trying to navigate. Like, it also just have something for everybody. You know what I mean? Like, have something for everybody. And that's the thing. Like I said, people are going to go see that Rey Skywalker movie. It's not going to be for everybody, but you know what? They're going to come home. They're going to flip on Disney Plus and be like, but I got a lot of other great Star Wars from Disney now. Hopefully. And that's, I think, the idea and the business model they're trying to set up here. It's not like Marvel exactly, but you can't do it like Marvel exactly. It's Star Wars. It needs to feel different, and it does. You know what I mean? It the way that they're slating things feels different, but all still connected. The other big inkling I have that it does feel very planned now is, you look at the Ahsoka trailer, you're getting a hologram of Mon Mothma. You know what I mean?
Right.
So that even connects back to Andor. So everything is connected. It's just, it might be little, but it's connected. And that's all you need to do, I think, at the end of the day, is just make us feel like we're being rewarded. You know what I mean? If we're going to go out, we're going to spend all this money on the canon novels. If we're going to go out, we're going to spend our money on a Disney Plus subscription and watch all your shows. We need to feel rewarded at the end of the day. Granted, every project should feel great within itself, and that's the goal. Make a great story over anything. That's why Andor succeeded, in my opinion, is because they focused on story first. The connections were in there. There were things they knew they had to hit for sure. I mean, they probably talked with Filoni, and Filoni said, hey, I want to use Mon Mothma in Ahsoka. You know what I mean? So can you build her up to be a little bit, you know what I mean, more of a character? You have that now, you know what I mean? And that's probably the discussions that were being had, I'm sure. And so now that you have that, it all feels a lot more exciting. I can honestly say I feel the best about Star Wars I have, again, since that time between Force Awakens and Last Jedi. You know what I mean? I think that was my favorite period of Disney Star Wars, and we're coming back. And the reason why that felt so great back then is because, well, first of all, the hype after Force Awakens was incredible, man. I don't think I've ever felt anything like that. And you had something to look forward to after Force Awakens, right? Everybody was speculating, what's Last Jedi going to be like? And sure, granted, a lot of people came out disappointed at the other side of that. Not myself.
A lot.
I loved it, but Rise of Skywalker then disappointed me. You know what I mean? Not at first, but over time, it grew to get worse and worse. You know what I mean? But I'll tell you what, man.
Which is crazy. A lot of people prefer Rise of Skywalker to the Last Jedi.
I agree.
It baffles me.
I don't understand it, but that goes back into my point. There's something for everybody. You need to have everybody's going to like something different.
Right.
You got to have things for everybody.
And the general consensus is that everyone likes The Force Awakens. I mean,
I think for the most part, most people were pleased with it. I think, I think that the thing about Force Awakens now for me as well, I still have a lot of nostalgia from the movie. Every time I put it on, I get a happy feeling in my heart because I remember what it was like when it was first coming out. I remember buying the t-shirts and the hoodies and all the merch. You know what I mean? I remember that, dude, and I love that movie for it. I remember going to the theater and being like, Star Wars is
Same. Same. And I remember what I love too about that experience is that I got to watch it not only in English but in Spanish as well, which is honestly
Yeah.
a great experience because
Yeah.
I saw it in English first here in the U.S. with some friends, and then I remember that I was going to Ecuador for vacation. I saw it in the theaters there with my family as well, so it was a really cool experience to see it in
Yeah.
both languages.
I think the other thing about it too, though, is you watch that movie now. The only bummer to me is it leads to Rise of Skywalker, and so
True.
like,
Yeah.
and that brings me down. And I feel like the people that don't like The Last Jedi have the same experience with it. You know what I mean? And so on and so forth. And it's like Dave Filoni had said at this celebration, you know, Star Wars is forever. And I think one of the biggest things to me about Rise of Skywalker is like I finished that movie and I'm like, that really can't be it for Rey, you know? And it's not now. So now I'm not saying that fixes everything about Rise of Skywalker magically, but what it does do is it makes that movie feel a little bit more significant, you know, and it makes it feel a little bit more like this is not the end of Star Wars, you know what I mean? Because that movie just feels so finalized the way it ends because that's what we were pitched, you know, this is the end of the saga.
Right.
It is the end of the core saga, but that doesn't mean we can't keep going. You know, you have to me a great character in Rey that you can do a lot with.
It's the end of the Skywalker saga. It's just the beginning of the Rey saga.
The new Jedi
unquote.
Order, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And now suddenly
the new Jedi Order, right? Yeah.
Suddenly that ending means something different to me, you know, and now suddenly I look at that.
I was gonna say the ending with that kid just has a whole different meaning now.
Well, yeah, the ending of The Last Jedi with the kid, the ending of Rise of Skywalker with Rey's yellow lightsaber.
With Bryce, yep.
Now
Those both have completely different meanings now.
It feels like, it feels to me like, you know, maybe they were definitely setting it up at one point, you know what I mean? I think that's probably what Ryan was going to do initially, is probably try to, you know, take the ball and run with the kid and maybe, I don't know. But now, yeah, you're right. It all feels more significant knowing there's a new Jedi Order coming and that there's probably going to be a threat. That's my biggest concern about that movie. And again, I don't want to harp on negative things because I'm all we got to do is hope that they can nail it. But how are we going to make a threat that feels bigger than the Emperor, you know, for this new Jedi Academy? What can it be? And those are some of the things that cross my mind. And that's going to be their biggest challenge. But that writer's room, and we've heard, it's got Filoni in the room, you know. So everything is working together. We even heard Filoni say this weekend, we're all working together. We're all coordinating together. Right. We're all trying to figure it out. It's everybody's talking to each other finally. And that's communication has been a big issue in Star Wars behind the scenes. That's been one of the biggest issues they've had, is just the communication, man. It's Filoni's got Rebels over here, which is doing something completely different than what's the sequels are doing over here, and it's not feeling cohesive. And now it is, and now we could fix it. They have a plan to fix it. That's what it felt like this weekend. They won't come out and say we're fixing it, but that they're saying it without saying it. You know what I mean? They're saying it without bringing this overabundance of negativity into it. And people,
of course,
people are going to be mad just a little while longer, and we'll try to ride that wave, I guess. And I think Ahsoka's going to do a lot to save this fan base and to mend the fan base,
100%,
and to heal us. You know what I mean? Heal the wounds of the fan base and patch up those holes. You know, I think that's what Ahsoka's job is right now, and I think they've just been waiting. I think they've been patiently waiting for Ahsoka. You know, I really do. I think that's what they've been patiently waiting on. They knew Ahsoka was coming years ago, but I think, you know, and another thing, like, to give Kathleen Kennedy a little bit of credit here, is she did say the pandemic screwed a lot of things up for us. You know, I mean, she was pretty open about that this weekend, about the pandemic, you know, having to put things on delay and all that, and it did throw a wrench into the plan, and that, you know, right around the pandemic is when Disney Plus came along, and they had no idea how to do television. You know, they had no idea. But all they knew is that they wanted to try and experiment with it. So to her credit, that was one thing that she said this weekend that I really liked. At least she's being open about the fact that Disney Plus, the pandemic, that whole thing, it was a weird time. You know, it was a weird time to try to navigate. And we all felt it, I think. That was the problem, is that we all felt it as a result of them not knowing what to do during that time. I think that was another big part of it. And now it's just time to get Star Wars back on the big screen. And that was another thing she said. And yeah, I think we all want that, man. I think we all want to feel it on the big screen again. You know, I know a lot of people, when Disney Plus was first happening, it's like a lot of people, myself included, I'm guilty of it. We're saying, I don't ever need to see another Star Wars movie again. Well, we haven't had it in a while. We need another Star Wars movie. I was wrong. Because I thought the power of television, and granted, there are benefits to television. Don't stop doing television. That's not what I'm trying to say at all. Have them work together. Have the movies and the shows work together is my point. And
right,
to make an even better product. And that was the other thing, you know, Kathleen Kennedy said is, we want to feel event films, man. That's what we're missing from Star Wars. We're missing the event of it. You know, for some reason, it's just without the theater, you don't have it. You know what I mean? How do you feel about the movie show thing? And you know, I mean, where are you looking at? I mean, what are you looking at there?
Yeah, I'm just also hoping that they don't do a Marvel and just put out way too many shows.
Yeah,
because that's one thing in my opinion that really made Phase 4 of Marvel one of the worst is the fact that. Because they weren't going to put out that many movies, because they only put out like 4 or 5 movies.
Yeah.
Was the fact that they just pumped out so many shows, and a lot of them just were really misses.
Yeah.
And a lot of their movies too were pretty miss as well, in my opinion. And I just hope that you know, Star Wars doesn't do the same and just pump out so much stuff that it ends up being a lot of misses. I really want them to take their time with the projects and make sure that they're at their best for when they and then release it. So like,
yeah,
I mean, yeah. So the next Star Wars movie might be in the next 3 or 4 years. I mean, it is what it is. As long as it's ready to be released and it's the best content for the fans, take as long as you need. Honestly, as long as it's amazing, it's Star Wars. It's what I love. I just need it to be the best content possible for us as fans.
Yeah, or at least the thing that like just makes the most sense at the time, you know, because
right, of course.
And that's kind of what it comes down to for me too. At the same time, it's like, and we had said this on the video earlier, it finally feels like it's a normal pace of things that they're releasing. You know, I mean, it really does. This is the first time. That's the other thing about it. I know there are people out there that want Star Wars, and they just want it all, and they're like, okay, get it out there. But look what happened to Marvel, you know, to your point. You know, Marvel got spread way too thin, and a lot of it missed because of that. It didn't hit the mark. Star Wars has the opposite problem right now, which could be a benefit to them. Their problem, or was, I should say, I think it's getting fixed now, but their problem was too little, you know. Now, they got to a place I feel that's just right. You know what I mean? It feels just right. It feels like the slate makes sense. It's not a slate that just feels like it's being thrown out there. And granted, I mean, when Marvel was announcing all these things, it all sounds great on paper, but you can't realistically expect Kevin Feige to oversee all this stuff and you know, as directly as he did before. It's too much.
Right. It is too much, yeah.
This
100%.
feels like it could be focused. This slate that Star Wars or Lucasfilm announced this week, it feels like it could be focused on.
It feels like Dave Filoni will be able to oversee basically everything that's going to be released for Star Wars, because it kind of is a lot, but at the same time it's going to be spread out enough for him to be able to oversee everything that's going to be released, unlike, like you said, with Marvel that was going to release a lot, but Kevin Feige just, I mean, in my opinion, I'm thinking that he couldn't really oversee everything, which is why it looks like a lot of the stuff was rushed and it just wasn't what the Marvel fans wanted or needed, and what was needed at the time for Marvel. So it does seem like here in Star Wars right now they have it's planned, it's precise, and it's spread out enough for Dave Filoni to oversee everything and make sure that everything is what we need and what we want for the time that it's going to come out.
Yeah. And that was the other thing that Kathleen Kennedy mentioned this weekend. It wasn't just Lucasfilm that was suffering through this Disney Plus era. I mean, it was all the studios of Disney. You know what I mean? It was everybody was trying to work it out and navigate it. And they didn't say this out loud, and they won't ever say it out loud. But we were under the Chapek era during the pandemic too, and that was not helpful.
Oh God.
The guy had no idea how to navigate that, and you know how to focus things. You know?
It looks like fine. It looks like with Bob Iger back, it's actually, you know, we got this very great planned timeline for Star Wars now again.
It all actually kind of makes a lot of sense when we start to think about it and put it into perspective, because I remember it was right before Bob Iger had left. He'd said, we want to slow down Star Wars. and then he leaves. And Star Wars was slowed down, but too slow.
It's true.
With not a lot to look forward to. I think now we're kind of seeing it all kind of come to fruition what Iger meant when he'd said that before he left. It's not
for sure.
Not slow down as in no good content. It's slow down as in let's pace it out. Let's put it into focus.
Right.
You know, that's what I think he meant by slow down.
Let's take our time with each project. Make sure it's the best that it could possibly be.
And I honestly do think that is why you were hearing a lot of things just get slashed right before. Right after Iger took over, we were hearing Patty Jenkins got slashed. Taika's probably dead. That movie, the Taika movie's probably dead in the water. Feige's movie slashed, and all these other things.
The other, what was his name?
Oh, JD Dillard, that guy. His project. And I think that's why I really think Chapek was looking to release too much. Yeah, I think he was looking to release way too much there. And I think that was kind of a big. I think that's why we felt the big hiccup. And I think with Iger back, he was like, no, we can't do all this. It's not going to be focused. We need to focus on the things that is going to fix this fan base problem you have. And I think that's probably a lot of what we're seeing the result of is Iger coming in and being like, we need to refocus. We need to refocus Lucasfilm. We need to get it back on track. We can't just release a bunch of stuff for no apparent reason, and
right.
like a Taika Waititi movie. I love Taika Waititi, but that feels pointless. To me, that's like a why. You know what I mean? It's a Taika Waititi movie that's just going to be different and creative, and for sure it would have been. But I hear that and it feels like a why. I know Kevin Feige's a big Star Wars fan. I love the dude for Marvel, and I love most things he's done with it. Really, I think he's one of the best studio heads we've ever had, Kevin Feige. But you hear Kevin Feige's going to be overseeing a project. Why? You know what I mean? All these announcements that they were making that luckily got slashed now, they always, I feel like, followed up with the question, why? And the projects that we have slated now don't have that cool, but why? You know what I mean? These feel like I understand why.
They have that cool and like I know why they're doing it.
Exactly.
It makes sense.
There's reasoning now behind it all. Exactly. And that's the other thing I think that makes this weekend so important and why Star Wars won the weekend. And
with all the shows and movies that are coming that have been announced, it's like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. And I understand why it's happening, and it's great. I totally agree with you. Star Wars definitely won this weekend. Yeah, it was an amazing weekend. I look forward to it. It was worth it waking up at like 6 a.m. to get all this content watched and recorded and out there for you guys. It was well worth it. And honestly, it's just I'm the biggest fan. Like my Star Wars love has gone so high up now. Yeah. Especially after this weekend, my love for Star Wars is always gonna be there. It was just really low up until now, having all this stuff announced, which is great because this is exactly what I love about Star Wars. Is exactly what they're doing right now. Is planning everything precisely to a T, making sure that it's at the best that it can possibly be for us fans, and announcing it when they need to announce it, releasing it when they need to release it.
Yeah, it's so funny, man. I've never had a period in my life where I've not craved watching Star Wars content. That is my love for Star Wars. But what I did have there for just a little while is I felt like I couldn't watch anything in the Disney era for a little bit there. Like anytime I would put it on, it always felt empty. You know what I mean? I'd had to always watch stuff from the Lucas era.
True, and fair.
It always felt empty. I don't feel that way anymore.
I had the same feeling, honestly. Like I just couldn't watch anything like Star Wars from Disney. Yeah. I found myself going back to the movies episodes 1, 2, and 3. Which same. Obviously, I'm not the biggest fan of 1 and 2, but 3 obviously I am. But I found myself just revisiting the original 6 movies. Yeah. And
same.
And all the original Disney Star Wars stuff pre-Disney, which was weird to me. I don't know, but I don't feel like that anymore because we're finally getting amazing Star Wars content from Disney that I'm loving it back again. It's amazing.
I'm ready to go back to the Mandalorian seasons and see how that's all planned out. I want to watch Rebels again, you know, and see how that all kind of works
Oh
into it.
yeah,
And
I need to revisit. It's been a while. Yeah.
you know what I mean? And it's like I'm not going to feel empty. I want to watch Last Jedi again and see the ending you were talking about with the Jedi kid and just think about what that means to me now. You know, I want to watch this stuff again now because I have stuff to look forward to. It doesn't feel like it's just over there. You know what I mean? It's like it feels like there's more to come finally. You know what I mean? Like, granted, yeah, I would watch the Disney shows like Andor. I was hyped as it was coming out, but going back to a lot of it was very hard for me. The post Disney stuff, you know, because again, like you said, like everything that happened in the Lucas era, even Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones, which I agree with you are not the best highlights of Lucasfilm's reign, but of the Lucas era. But what it does do is it has purpose. Those movies have purpose. You know what?
Right.
And that's why it worked. And sequel trilogy definitely highlights in there. Doesn't feel like it had purpose. It feels like it has purpose again to me. And now I'm
yeah, it's all thanks to these projects that we're gonna get in the future now that it brings purpose to these movies now, which I absolutely love, and I'm happy, excited that these movies are finally gonna have, like, we're gonna go back to episodes 7, 8, and 9 and finally be able to watch them with a purpose. I know what this purpose is, for Disney, for Star Wars. And I love it. I love that. It's great.
It's the thing that Clone Wars did so well for the prequels. That's why Filoni's the man for the job, because you look at the Clone Wars.
I have such faith and confidence in Dave, and I'm glad that it is Dave who is at the helm of all of this, because I couldn't honestly put my faith in anyone else. He is literally George Lucas incarnate. Like, he really is, and everyone else that's on board too, like Jon Favreau, he just understands Star Wars so well as well. It's like Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau are just the powerhouse duo for Star Wars.
Yeah, man. I'm ready to consume it all and have.
Same. We're gonna have a lot of talks.
I'm ready to not feel empty anymore about Star Wars, and I can't wait to watch Force Awakens again and just feel like, okay, we're back. We have a purpose. I can't wait to watch Mandalorian again and feel like.
And I can't wait to watch all the movie, 7, 8, and 9. I can't wait to watch Force Awakens, Last Jedi, Rise of Skywalker, and finally, have a purpose in watching those movies, and Mandalorian, watching it again from season 1 all the way through. It having a purpose, a meaning. Man, it's great to find. It's a great time to be a Star Wars fan, for sure.
And again, the movies have their own individual problems that aren't going to be fixed, but so do Attack of the Clones and Phantom Menace. But like we were just saying, we found ourselves going back to those more. That because of the purpose of it, that's what matters, and that's the biggest thing in Star Wars, man, is purpose. You know what I mean? And if there's no purpose, then there's no point.
There's no Star Wars.
Exactly. That is the biggest thing. George preached it, man, back in the day, man. It all has to have purpose. Everything has to have meaning. And if we can get there, with the sequels, it's like poetry, but if we can get there with the sequels. Really, and I know people are going to be angry, and I'm going to let them be angry. I'm not going to be angry. I'm refusing to be angry.
Same.
I want to enjoy it again, and I will.
I mean, just the amount of like you said, just the amount of praise that Daisy really got when walking on stage just shows me how much confidence the fans have in having her back. In it for Star Wars, and also the love that Moses Ingram got, even though she wasn't even there, just the praise that she got too when her name was mentioned, just goes to show that hate. There's no room for hate in the Star Wars franchise and the Star Wars fandom, just because
hate leads to the dark side.
Why? Like, exactly, hate leads to the dark side, and all the haters out there, you guys are on the dark side, and I'm sad that you're at the dark side. I hope that one day you guys can come to the light side.
If you choose to walk the path of hate, then you completely ignore the message that the films were trying to put across in the first place.
Greatly said. Great. I couldn't have said it better myself.
Honestly, and I'm done listening to it. That's where I'm at, man. I feel liberated because I really am done with it. And honestly, like I still see it. I still see it around, but I'm done. I'm done listening to it. I'm done trying to hear that perspective of the hate. I'm sorry that you're unpleased and you don't want this Rey movie to happen. I'm sorry about that. But what you need to give it a chance, and if you don't like it, that's okay. It's a movie. At the end of the day, it is a movie, and not everything's going to please everybody, and you're okay to not like it. You're okay to criticize it, and that's fine. I would never take that away.
There's so much Star Wars content that you could go back to if you don't like.
100%.
I mean, it's just one movie. It's one movie to the thousands of content that we'll have for Star Wars. Like,
yes,
honestly. I mean, I know people are going to go on social media and hate on it in whatever little way they want, but you're just wasting your breath at that point. Like, what's the point? I mean, I'm done with it, honestly.
And you will always have those people that linger in that hate because number one, a lot of people built businesses on hating Star Wars, and if they don't hate Star Wars, they don't make money. That's your prerogative, but just know that eventually something's got to give. You're not going to be looked at as a fan anymore.
Well, because, as I say, when eventually too, you're gonna stop making money or stop being able to make a business and make money from hating on Star Wars, because it's gonna be loved by everyone again. That hating on it is just gonna. It's not going to get you anywhere.
Yeah, and I don't want to harp on the group of people because we all know who they are and stuff, so I'm not going to name any names. But
and you know who you are.
Yeah, exactly. We know who they are. But what I will say is I do think, like, if this stuff is successful, what you'll see is a turn. You're going to see this group turn the other way and go to the love of Star Wars, and that's honestly just going to show how hypocritical they always were.
It's also gonna separate the fans from the people who aren't true fans of Star Wars, because they're basically just the ones riding the bandwagon of, so right now it's the hype is hating on Star Wars, and then it's gonna flip and now the hype is loving Star Wars. So it's like, it's just gonna separate the true fans from the people who just want to make money from content.
In that group again, this weekend put into perspective for me how small of a percentage that group makes up of the fan base, because we're looking at these people.
You look at the amount of fans that, honestly, every year at Celebration, that's what Star Wars Celebrations reminds me, is that the group of people who hate on Star Wars are just so
it's
small.
Such a small percentage of the fan base.
Oh my gosh, it's man, so it is. They're basically irrelevant, because the amount of fans in Star Wars, even in the entire world, on Earth, is so huge that it reminds me that the haters are just little tiny specks compared to the entire loving Star Wars fan base.
It's like the fact, maybe you do have 1 million subscribers, but even that is such a small percentage. You know what I mean? And
compared to all the fans of Star Wars in the world,
because guess what? That 1 million subscribers is the same 1 million subscribers that subscribes to the other hate channel and the other hate channel and the other hate channel. It's the same. True. It's all one. You're basically,
you guys are all just you guys all just have the same subscribers. It's literally just this small tiny group of people who sub to all the haters.
You're not the ones buying the tickets to Star Wars Celebration. You're not the ones that are, you didn't pay the money you didn't pay the billions of dollars that the sequels made. That's not you. That wasn't you. It wasn't, you know what I mean? Like, those are not the people that paid all that money, to see those movies over and over again. I promise those people did not see Last Jedi 7 times in the theater like I did. Those aren't those people. And I think that, I'm not saying, like, to people that are subscribed to those channels and follow those people on Twitter to unfollow or unsubscribe. It's not what I'm saying at all. It's your prerogative if you choose to walk the path of hate. What I am saying is, do not buy the bullshit of nobody wants a Rey Skywalker movie, or nobody wants more Obi-Wan, or nobody, you know what I mean?
Because if you I was just saying, like, just look at the panels that happened this past weekend, and everyone just goes crazy.
Look at the videos
when Rey was announced for a movie, when Obi-Wan, when Ewan McGregor himself teased the second season of Obi-Wan, when Andor, they talked about season 2, and that was teased, all that stuff. Man, it's just. Don't buy, like Dom said, don't buy into the haters that say that we don't want this or that, because they're just lying out their ass,
These people,
my French, but
these people that say Andor's numbers are terrible, but yet when the Andor panel comes out, you got a whole crowd of people yelling one way out, one way out. We witnessed that on video. There's evidence of it. The people that say that Filoni does not love Andor, when he came out and said this is the most THX 1138 thing he's ever seen. The people that that say Andor doesn't feel like George or Star Wars, or it's not inspired by it. Like, again, Filoni himself, as we said to us, as Lucas Incarnate said, it is the most Lucas thing he's ever seen, in a way, by saying that it was very THX 1138.
And when people say that, you know, Mando isn't, you know, Star Wars, it's not what it used to be, or it's not Star Wars enough. Just look at the amount of people that say this is the way from the panels. I mean, it's just don't listen to the haters out there. They're just lying to you.
Trust me, man, and I still think Kathleen Kennedy needs to go. I just don't think she's cut out for it. I think she's fixed a lot, and I think she should leave with the win. I think she should leave with the win.
She's had her time in the Star Wars universe where she's been a success.
10 years of this too.
I just think, like you said, it's time for her to go, and honestly, it is the best time to go because you have
she's on the high.
The best Star Wars weekend.
Yep. In a long time.
In a very long time.
Since Star Wars 40,
I think since A New Hope's 40.
Yeah.
And I think it's just time that you just swiftly, you know, just move along and just end on that, because there's no better time to end your Star Wars, your Lucasfilm reign than on this.
Yeah, dude. And, you know, the other part of this that's so exciting to me is, like, if Star Wars does well, that means a lot of other things in our fandom are going to do well. That means that it's going to motivate them to do well. James Gunn is going, oh shit, right now, because he knows that he needs to deliver because Star Wars is doing well. That means DC now needs to do well. There's a lot of, you know, this stuff, it all connects. Kevin
Feige's kind of looking like, oh crap, I kind of need to step it up too.
Now we need to step up. Marvel needs to do well. This next Comic-Con needs to be huge for them. You know what I mean? They need to have. This is a good thing, you know. I hate when people like I hate to keep harping on the group, but man, I'm telling you, there are people that they want to see this fail. That's all they want, and that's why they'll keep harping on the hate, man, because they want to see it fail, because they don't understand how one positive thing can lead to a whole bunch of momentum for everybody else, man. That's all we want to see is this stuff do well, and I'm done walking. I'm done looking at the stuff as emptiness. I want to look at it and feel it again, and I am choosing to do that. I have so many canon books I'm looking at right now that I chose not to read because I was in that empty place. I'm going to start reading again. I promise. That this is my vow to it, man, because dude, it's going to waste otherwise. It's collecting dust. It needs to be read. And
I mean, there's a lot of Legends books back here that I have also put off reading because I was like, well, I mean, are they ever actually going to nitpick a lot more, or from a a variety of Legends books? Because they only nitpick from a couple. So there's a lot of Legends books back here that are literally old and just collecting dust. Yeah, that I've put off reading. But now, trust me, that I'm going to be reading a lot of these now again. I'm going to be doing nothing but reading for the next month, 2 months, 3 months, for sure. Because there's a lot of books back there that I've been needing to pick up, and now I have a reason to.
The High Republic book that I have a bookmark in right now, guess who's the main character there? Vernestra. So I'm excited to keep reading that now. And it feels like, again, we're being rewarded. And man, I can't express enough my excitement for this weekend. It has brought me back.
Same. Honestly, I'm jumping in my skin. You know what I mean? Like it's just, I said I want to punch, like I just want to go punch something in excitement and joy, because it was just such a successful, amazing, heartwarming weekend.
Yeah,
I can't. There's no other words to explain.
Yeah, and you know, one of the most important things that Leslie Headland had said, and we saw a little bit of that interview too together, when she said it feels like it's stuck in this, you know, area of black and white all the time. You know, like it feels like we're stuck in this place as a fandom of like and don't like, and it doesn't need to be that. If you do, she said, if you don't like the Acolyte, that's fine. Don't stop rooting for everything else. You know what I mean? Don't stop rooting for other things to do well. If you don't like one thing, don't let one bad apple spoil the whole bunch for you. And that's kind of where we were at, I feel like, as an entire fandom for a minute. And maybe not an entire fandom, because again, man, I saw a lot of excited faces out in Europe this weekend, and that's what matters the most at the end of the day, is seeing those people and seeing Filoni get emotional over that and those things that, you know, I know it feels to some that listen to the show like really you're getting this way about Star Wars, but to us it means something. You know what I mean? It really does. When Star Wars does well, man, we're always happier as people. To me, anyway.
Yeah.
I just feel happier as a person right now because Star Wars is doing well. It warms my heart in a way that I just haven't had it warmed. And like I said, since The Force Awakens, like I feel like I want to make content again. You know what I mean? Like in a big
I mean,
way.
I totally feel you. I feel the same way. To see Dave Filoni get emotional on that live stage because of because he said himself that he hasn't seen so many fans before in one room. It really brings joy and happiness to me. It got me pretty emotional myself because seeing obviously seeing Dave Filoni get emotional, it fills me with more confidence in that Dave Filoni is the guy for this. He just knows what he's doing and knows how to do it.
Yeah. And my plea is not to stop doing what you're doing on your channels or on Twitter or Instagram or whatever content you make. What I'm saying is let's say you're the Marvel guy, right? Like you have a channel that's just dedicated to Marvel things. Look over to that Star Wars guy, you know what I mean? Look over to that Star Wars channel and say way to go on the win, because when one thing does well, we all do well. That's the idea, and look to your neighbor, man, and look out for them and say way to go on this weekend. Good job on getting everything on the up and up. And then just do you, man, and then just make your usual content, but at least give your neighbor a way to go. You know what I mean? Give them a thumbs up, give them a pat on the back for having this huge win this weekend, because I'm telling you, man, I thought things were on the up and up when Obi-Wan was coming out, and I was like, are we finally getting back? With a great deal of skepticism, and I saw Obi-Wan, it wasn't for me. I like it, but it's not the thing I love.
Yeah, same.
It missed the mark. But again, perspective, man. We saw the panel, we saw how many people did love it and how many people were excited for it, and all I can do is give them a pat on the back. Way to go on that one. Good
and
job.
Also, again, like I said, that there were certain scenes in that in that
100%,
show
dude,
that were just so great because the emotions and acting from all the characters and all the actors in that show, man, is just so great to kind of revisit and see each individual actor's favorite moment from shooting, and hear their stories and stuff, man. It's just great.
Yeah, that fight is legendary, dude. And that fight is legendary.
And like going between Hayden Christensen going between his own voice and Darth Vader's was just, oh man, it was great.
I mean, he walked away and let millions of people die. Okay, stupid. But I mean, he could have killed him right there. I don't know. I mean, I get the confliction of Obi-Wan, kind of being like, it's my buddy at the same time, but to me, those things bother me, but it's not going to bother everybody that way. And I understand that, there are people that are just going to love that for what it is. And that's okay. You love it. Know?
If you let him go, then
I get that
the movies don't make sense.
I get that 100%. That's just me. That's a writing issue I have, like do it in a more creative way or a different way.
That's fair. Yeah.
But dude, like even like with that though, like I look at that panel, I guess we could start talking about some of the other things that happened this weekend too, because I look at that panel, it's like I might not like the show, but I love Deborah Chow. I root for her, man. She's a fan.
Yeah, she was,
I love that her and Dave have a good relationship, and yeah, I love Deborah Chow. The stuff she did on Mandalorian was fantastic. I mean, it was
oh yeah,
she's a really true passionate fan and filmmaker, dude. I want to talk about Skeleton Crew a little bit here too, man, because this John Watts project is shaping up to look really, really good. I couldn't believe the caliber of directors that they had for that thing. It's such a high caliber of filmmakers. I finally got my wish. This is a big up for me, because I've been begging for David Lowery, dude, to do something Star Wars, and this is his way in, dude. We give him an Old Republic thing if this does well, you know what I mean? Because he would be fantastic for that. I mean, you might not. I know Green Knight was a divisive movie, but on the same, I like it, but on the same hand, like that imagery, man, is so Old Republic, and the type of imagery I'd want to see in Old Republic, and this. It's an actual possibility to have that sort of thing now, you know what I mean? And that's the type of thing I love. And even for the people that didn't like Green Knight, a lot of them liked his movie Ghost Story, you know what I mean? Like his movie Ghost Story is pretty much I mean it's got good ratings, man. I mean, people love a ghost story, so The guy's a good filmmaker. Is my point. I'm rooting for Peter and Wendy to do well too.
Oh yeah, I'm honestly I'm really excited for that movie. Honestly,
I hope he gets a win out of that. I hope it's not as divisive as Green Knight was, you know. So, and if that does well, I mean, we're gonna have so much more hype
a lot
for
more
David
of him.
Lowery because,
Yeah,
yeah, dude. I mean, because that's Peter and Wendy's going to be a lot of casual like movie goers introduction to him this month. So
right.
that's going to be a very cool thing too. So I can't wait for
I
that.
mean, yeah, and if that does well, then we're gonna be seeing a lot more of him in Disney.
Yeah,
for sure.
the idea of the Daniels making something Star Wars too on that, because they just came off a Best Picture win.
Ever since, yeah, like honestly, after Everything Everywhere, it's gonna be really interesting to see what they can do in Star Wars for sure.
100%, man, 100%, my guy. Yeah, for sure, dude. Yeah, I'm so excited to see what they do because I said it in my Oscars pre-show that I did here on Movie Mornings when I said, like, look up the definition of originality, man. You're gonna find the Daniels in the dictionary, dude. And those guys are so incredibly creative with everything they've done. To have something like that in Star Wars, I can't wait to see what that episode's like. You know what I mean? That's gonna be fantastic. You know, Bryce to me had a miss last week with Mandalorian, but I think that she's still a phenomenal filmmaker. She's proven that, and to have her work with that crew, that's going to bring her up to me as a filmmaker working with those people. You know what I mean? That's only going to make her better as a filmmaker, which that's going to be amazing to see, I hope. And yeah, anyway,
sure.
but this sort of like going back to the well and of like what Willow and the Goonies were and things like that, you know, is pretty cool to have in Lucasfilm, that old time fantasy feel, you know, which I even saw elements of in the Ahsoka trailer. So to have it for Skeleton Crew through and through, that old time fantasy adventure that we used to have in Lucasfilm is pretty cool.
It excites me more for in it. Honestly, when I think about, like, it makes more sense when they say that like Skeleton Crew is almost gonna be like the Goonies. It just makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
It really does, and it gets me even more excited for Skeleton Crew. You know, with obviously Jude Law being the main actor, the guy like guiding these young kids through the galaxy, really just does excite me because Jude Law is such a talented actor, and I've been wanting to see him in Star Wars because I just feel like he'd fit so well in Star Wars. And it's exciting to see actors that we've never seen in Star Wars make their debut in Star Wars and in these projects, and I can't wait to see them in these projects, you know, completely kill it and do amazing, and then see them in other future projects as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the thing that Favreau said about it too is what excites me most. It needs to be for kids, but it also needs to be for everybody.
Right,
and
exactly.
I think Goonies is such a great reference point for something like that. I mean, that is a movie that everybody enjoys. No matter
that is
age.
also a kids movie.
It's got plenty of things for adults in there too.
Exactly.
And it's the perfect balance, and I think Favreau nailed it there when he said that that's what excited him about the prospect of doing Skeleton Crew. So that to me is pretty good. And you know, we heard reports of some hiccups on the production of that, but apparently they got straightened out pretty quick, so that's good. So I think that a lot of it sounds exciting. The prospect of that show sounds very exciting to me. I can't wait to see what that is. And again, that's another one I think it's a riskier show to do for sure, because you can always, like, you know, go off kilter on that balance a little bit, you know, and like maybe lean one way too kid or one way too adult for it and not hit the balance. So it's a riskier project. So that's one that definitely has the potential to suck. I'm just saying. But even if it does, oh well, we got more, dude. I'm still gonna look forward to Acolyte, you know what I mean? Because of everything that's coming out of that. Like, I'm not gonna
right.
I feel like if something falls now and is not as great as maybe we're hoping, we can at least like not fall into the slump and be like, all right, what's the next thing? You know what I mean? And just move on. And I don't want to be in this place of being in a slump with Star Wars anymore. I'm still gonna look forward to it. I don't care, even if Ahsoka's bad. I don't think it's gonna be. But even if Ahsoka sucks for whatever reason,
honestly, you have to really fuck it up for Ahsoka to be bad. I mean,
like I said, the only way I could see that being the case is if they only took the good shots and put them in the trailer. You know what I mean? Like, that's the only way
is true.
I could see that being the case.
But I feel like it's the best. It's the best shots from the. It's like the best ones out of a already amazing bunch.
Or
You know what I mean?
that
like the
all
ones
the
that
shots
have
are just
the
that
most
good.
importance.
All the shots
Or
are
yeah,
that
that
just
too.
that
And
good. You know what I mean?
they just picked randomly like which ones they
Yeah.
wanted in the trailer.
I mean, I don't feel like they would have given us that much lightsaber stuff if it wasn't throughout the show. You know what I mean? Like, I feel
Right,
like they
yeah.
would have, they would have teased and led with something different. So no, I mean,
and also
confidence.
and also the fact that Sabine's gonna be wielding a green lightsaber in that show
Yeah.
is OMG. Like, I can't wait.
Yeah, all the stuff, man, that like you look at it, and also it's just got, I mean, it's continuing the story of Rebels, so the groundwork's already laid and all that, you know. So
Right.
it's going to be very difficult, at least for the people that are Rebels fans, to mess this up. You know what I mean? Like, I think that it's going to be very difficult for Filoni to actually mess this up. And just hearing the actors talk about it, there's a massive amount of confidence behind Ahsoka, and I think that does show and reflect the fact that Ahsoka's going to be good. We're not hearing production issues on that one. You know, that's the other thing. It's going off without a hitch, you know, so that's another very good sign for it. So yeah, like I said, I don't think Ahsoka's going to suck. I'm pretty confident it's going to be good, but even if that's not good, it's no reason to go into a slump. You know what I mean? I think that
we'll have other stuff.
We'll be
You know what I mean?
disappointed,
Yeah.
but I think we can look forward, because I feel like statistically anyway, that's probably going to mean that Skeleton Crew's going to be great. You know what I mean? That's probably what that'll mean. But again, I think it'll, if anything, it'd be the other way around. The Skeleton Crew would be the one to fall, and Ahsoka
kind of fall.
great
Yeah.
one, yeah. But yeah, dude, I mean, this is the introduction to Thrawn. They have a plan. I don't think they can't afford to mess it up. I don't think Ahsoka would be the one to fall. And then going into Leslie Headland's comments, even if Acolyte sucks, we got the next thing. You know what I mean? It's like that's what I'm saying. That's kind of my point overall. Now, listen, don't get me wrong. If all 3 shows come out and they all suck, we might have a reason to be worried. You know what I mean? It's
No,
like,
I definitely will be worried if all 3 suck.
Yeah, for sure. But again, it goes into like the purpose of it. I feel like we're at least going to enjoy it for the purpose of all 3 things. You know what I mean? I think that we're at least going to have that behind all of it. And so that gives me full faith that these are going to be great things. You know what I mean? And I really do, or at least enjoyable at a minimum. You know what I mean? I think they're all going to be enjoyable at a minimum. So yeah, dude, my hopes are high. My head is up. I think Star Wars took the weekend. They didn't just come back into the zeitgeist. They became the zeitgeist. You know what I mean? Like, they really did this weekend, and I can't believe how many, you know, Star Wars things were trending, you know, this weekend. It's awesome to have again. Yeah, last Celebration was fun, man, but nothing like this, dude. I did not come out of that last year as this positive on Star Wars. You know what I mean?
Oh, no, definitely not.
Because I still came off of it with that emptiness for Disney things. You know what I mean? Yeah, I was hyped about Mandalorian and stuff and all that, and yeah, I was a little hyped about Ahsoka for sure because they teased it a little, but nothing like I am now. You know what I mean? Like, nothing like I am this weekend. My heart is just in a better place. So,
same, 100%.
dude, it just, I feel like we can't lose, man. I really do. I feel like Star Wars. I always said this.
I feel like it's gonna be very hard to take an L. That's for sure.
I always said this, man. I always said, you know, Star Wars will always come back out on top. I always felt that way at the bottom of my heart. I started to lose faith in that a little bit, but I always felt that way from the bottom of my heart, that Star Wars will always come back.
I feel like the one we can blame for that little mini downfall kind of hiccup of Star Wars is definitely Bob Paycheck.
Oh yeah, man. I think that he's the downfall of the Star Wars, the Marvel. I think they're cleaning up a mess. That's what they're doing, and this shows
Bob Iger is out there cleaning a huge mess that Bob Paycheck left, and I'm glad that Bob Iger's back for. I mean, even if it is just 2 years, I know that whoever takes over for him will pick up where he left off and do as good, if not better, than him.
Yeah, man. I think he needs to pass the baton to somebody who is going to carry it forward and take it to the finish line. You know what I mean? Yeah, 100%, maybe. Yeah, you know what I mean? It's got to be somebody like that. It doesn't even have to be a name we know necessarily. It just has to be somebody that he's confident in will take that baton to the finish line,
right,
and win the day.
For sure.
You know what I mean? That's kind of what we're looking at now. We definitely had to clean up Paycheck's mess. I'm sorry. That was 100% what we had to do.
Man left a big piece of crap everywhere.
He shit all over the walls. He shit all over the bathroom. That was Bob Iger, man. When he walked back in, he was Bob Saget from that Dumb and Dumber thing where there was shit everywhere. That was the first thing. He opened that door. There's shit everywhere. Damn it! Shit all over the walls. There's shit all over the mirror. That was Iyer, 100%, and he's cleaning it. He's
100%.
He's cleaning it.
Oh, dude, it's taken him a while, but he's cleaning it.
He is, sure. Man. We're starting to see the result of the cleanup, dude. I'm telling you, it goes back into why all these projects got slashed. And you and I are, and a lot of fans were sitting here. What the hell's going on at Lucasfilm, man? Like,
oh my gosh.
All these cancellations. Well, now we know what the hell was going on, for sure. And now we need to like.
Yeah, it's great that we finally got the explanation why.
Yeah. I'm telling you, dude, let Indy come out, let him make the billion or whatever, and then just let Kathleen Kennedy walk off with the win, That's what I'm saying. I think just let her go with the win, let her go on a high note.
Yeah.
And if she doesn't, let's hope she keeps this pattern of behavior that we got this weekend. That's all I'm going to say.
Sure hope.
Yeah. Because this was huge, man. She's got to be happy right now. Like I would say that she is
100%.
She is a happy studio head this weekend. I mean, really,
bro. She is sat in her. She sat back at wherever she lives, just absolutely enjoying herself.
Yeah. I mean, she
and
has
the success that she did in this weekend.
She's got to be going around Celebration looking like, oh my gosh, a smiling fan, another smiling fan. Like everybody's happy.
Look at all these smiling fans. Oh my OMG. Like I love it.
Filoni, man, you could tell he felt this feeling in the room that he hadn't felt in a long time even. You know what I mean? Like when he was talking in the interview, you could see that he was feeling it in the room. I think the guy's always loved Star Wars wholeheartedly, but I don't think he's felt this way about Celebration in forever. And I think that really got to him. You could see it, man. He's looking around the room and he's like, man, I'm feeling this energy. He's feeling the happiness. And that's what really, I think, got to him, made him emotional this weekend, is the fact that he was really feeling the happiness and it was radiating off these fans. You know what I mean? And he just, yeah, it's incredible, man. I'm so hyped right now for this. This is unbelievable stuff, dude. And man, I mean, we there were some other things that were huge. I mean, High Republic Phase 3 looks like that's getting a lot of people excited for the new round of books that are coming. Obviously, I'm pretty excited about that. David Tennant, huge win for Doctor Who fans who are also Star Wars fans. Coming in to voice that droid for Ahsoka. That was another thing that we could look forward to as well. A lot of people love David Tennant. So I think that's a huge win as well.
Facts.
He did though, man. Between Lars Mikkelsen coming to play Thrawn, dude, that was one of the biggest bombs they dropped all weekend, man.
I think that was the biggest bomb that was dropped.
Yeah, 100%. It really felt like they came in, dude, with a plan, and they got win after win after win after win after win, and just it didn't stop all weekend, man. I really don't feel like it did. I think like everything that happened this weekend, like were things that people actually wanted to hear. Again, like I said, not everything is for everybody, but there was a section of these fans that wanted to hear the stuff that they were announcing over the weekend. It was just, it's a damn near perfect convention. You know what I mean? It really was, dude. It
really was. It really was.
And I'm surprised because I think last year when they had announced that they were going over to Europe, my initial thing was like, well, they must not have much next year. Boy, was I wrong.
Were you wrong? Yeah.
Boy, was I wrong. I was like, oh, okay. Because I thought at the most, even when the Ahsoka trailer dropped, I thought at most it'd be a 30-second teaser. You know what I mean? At most.
And now, but we got a whole teaser trailer.
It was barely a teaser. It was a trailer. Like, it was full-fledged trailer.
Yeah.
The perfect thing to show at a celebration, too, man, if you ask me. Like, it
100%.
really was. I mean, this was made for the hardcore fans that were gonna really get the hype on this thing, and that's the thing,
for
dude.
sure.
all these people, what they don't realize is, these people, the Ray haters out there that are mad,
Yeah.
they don't realize they're still talking about something. Star Wars is being talked about. It's circulating this weekend.
They're making Star Wars trending.
Yeah.
Again.
Yeah. They don't understand it. Like hashtag fuck Ray returns or whatever that I saw. That's still a trending topic. They don't understand it.
Is that actually trending?
It was a hashtag, that's for sure, this weekend, but whatever. Again,
it probably was a trending hashtag though.
Yeah. Either way, that's a trending hashtag that all press is good press for them this weekend. That's all I could say, man. It really is, man. And like they got to they used to be a saying, all press is good press. They got to a place where all press was not good press. They really did. They managed to dig themselves into such a hole that all press was not good press for Star Wars. But now it is. You know what I mean? Like now it is. They're back there again, dude. Like anything you can get Star Wars trending, yeah, do it. Because
sure, honestly, be my guest.
It's all gonna be hopefully uphill from here. Mandalorian could suck in these last two. I'm sure it probably might, because this season's just fell off to me. But I have this inkling of hope for these last two episodes, especially with what Favreau was saying about now we need to coordinate with Ahsoka, and the greater galaxy needs to rear its head, every once in a while. And I like that, dude, because now they really are playing into these big things that are about to come. You know what I mean? All roads lead to Thrawn right now. That's kind of where I'm looking, and that feels good just to have that, so that's really exciting. That's super exciting. I cannot wait to see
for sure
the rest of this and how all this plays out. I've talked for a long time here. I've had a lot to say. I mean, Jose, what else you got to add about this, man? I mean, go ahead.
Nothing much really. Just that this weekend was one of my favorite weekends probably in a very long time. Honestly, it was fun getting together with you.
Yeah,
and
for sure, dude.
Reacting and getting our reactions to all this Star Wars news that was dropped and all these panels, getting to see old cast members from Return of the Jedi was really cool. The only downside, it obviously, was we had to wake up really early in the morning, but is what it is. Anything for the Star Wars content.
Yeah.
But I mean, besides that, it was just so much fun getting together with you and doing all this stuff and getting to react to all this stuff. And once again, it's the best time to be a Star Wars fan, honestly, because there's just so much good stuff coming for Star Wars. It's great.
Yeah, dude. I mean, I'll tell you, dude, I woke up at 6 a.m. the other day and I was like, here we go. Got to wake up and just for a celebration that's probably not going to have a whole lot, and I'll wait on some news stories. And no, it was like, it kept rolling, dude, the things, you know what I mean? It kept rolling, and I felt like I woke up with an objective, so that was really nice for once. And I mean, not that we had to wake up this early last year, but still, I mean, we had a deadline to hit, and I felt like this deadline was purposeful, again, and that was really nice, dude. And waking up early,
there was a reason to get out for these panels.
100%, man. And I'm so glad that they just didn't leave us disappointed, No, we couldn't be there, man, but I still feel happy, and that's what celebration used to be, that a long time ago, man, where you looked at the stories and you were just happy. You were happy with everything, you didn't mind the fact that you weren't there as much. You know what I mean? You wanted to be there, and I still do, but it didn't affect me as much this year that I wasn't there. And that's how it used to feel. It used to just feel exciting that there was a celebration out there. I'm not sitting here bitching about the fact we didn't get to see the panels, because hey, we still got great things, man. We got great, exciting things. 100%. I mean, I do, of course, part of me still wishes they would stream the panels like they used to, but dude, I don't care. Again, I'm done walking the path
as long as we get stuff to react to and create content around. Then I mean, if we can't see the panels, it's all right, as long as you give us content to react to and make content from. Again, like you said, I would love to be able to react to the full panel, every single panel. But again, I do understand that, like, there's a lot of content that is shown just for the people there. But I mean, just cut that stuff out. When you're live, just kind of transition to something else while you're going live. Like go to a different panel or a different
Yeah,
stage while you're showing that, and then come right back to it. But I mean, I know
for
that's
sure.
that's also a lot of work because I am studying how to host live events, and I know I know now how difficult that is.
Yeah.
I've my eyes have been open to that, so it is a lot of work to just go back and forth, especially when you've got so much stuff going on. So I do understand why they don't show certain panels, because there's a lot of content that is only for the people that are there live. So I do get it, but it's just as long as you give us that content to react to then
Right.
afterwards, then cool. Yeah, by all means, don't show the panels. I totally understand.
We had a
and get
ton
it.
to talk about, dude. This weekend we had a ton
yeah,
to talk
100%,
about,
yeah.
and we were never dry with content. I don't feel like, and so that
I had
was
to drink. I had to keep a lot of water next to me because of how much we were talking. Jeez, there's so much to talk about.
Yeah, and I mean, that's the other thing I liked about this weekend is I felt a huge acknowledgement for just the content creators that keep this thing going too. You know what I mean? I felt an acknowledgement for that.
For sure.
If they didn't have stuff to keep us excited, then it just would have been dry again. And I think that's
For sure.
That's also part of what causes these droughts. I feel like is just when we don't have a lot to talk about, and then all you're left with are the hate channels talking badly about Star Wars because they built their business on it.
True.
Then you're really going to feel the emptiness and the drought. You know what I mean? You're really going to be in a slump. But
True.
we're out of it. We're out of it. I feel like we really are. How would I put it? We're not completely out of the woods, but we are out of the slump, and we're back on it. We're walking uphill again. You know what I mean? We're heading toward the light. And that's the great thing.
We've won a battle, but we haven't won the war yet.
Exactly. We won a battle. We can have a victory. We can celebrate. We could drink, and
Eventually we will win the war.
100%, dude. And I'll tell you what I'm doing with the rest of my day, man. I don't know about you. I'm gonna watch some Star Wars, and I'm gonna be happy about it. That's all I'm gonna do. I don't know what, but I'm gonna put some Star Wars on and just enjoy it again. And yeah, dude, this Jose, I do feel like we're coming to an end of an era in the sense that, like I said, we're getting out of the slump. And I gotta say, man, it's been interesting
100%.
trying to come up with things to talk about with you throughout the pandemic and throughout this whole negative time. And
it's been so hard. It's been so hard to think of, to have content to talk about, honestly.
Yeah, man, and that is because we would have none of this, I feel like, without Star Wars. And so
100%.
When you really start to break it down, dude, it's a triangle that trickled down from Star Wars, right? You know what I mean? Like Marvel came because Star Wars happened. Harry Potter came because Star Wars happened. DC came because Star Wars happened. I mean, they were all properties, but Star Wars set the standard, man. When you look at A New Hope, that set the formula for what this could actually be.
I mean, when you really think about the whole story and premise of Harry Potter, it's literally just Star Wars,
right?
Like just with wizards and magic instead of lightsabers and the Force.
All of it took inspiration from Star Wars. So when Star Wars is 100%. Down, it makes those
George
negative.
Lucas just made something so awe-inspiring and something that any company can make something based off of, because like the inspiration that George Lucas made with Star Wars, like you said, I mean, you said when Star Wars is down, the rest of the movie industry is down, because then it's like, well, crap, they're down, so we're gonna be down too, because like what are we gonna draw inspiration from?
Yeah, which makes in turn us down. I mean, not to say we haven't had fun times making content together throughout the slump, but it's been harder. It's been more difficult.
It has been a lot harder.
I think we've actually had a hard time holding each other's heads up lately, but I'm ready to do it with a smile again. You know what I mean? I'm ready to start talking about these things with a smile, because
I've been smiling this whole weekend.
Honestly. I know, me too.
Great. I love it.
Same, dude. And I think that the other thing is, like, we're also going to get more positivity in the press, man. I think that a lot of the news stories, trust me, with this win of a weekend, the big trades are now they're going to be focused on tracking down stories for Star Wars, and not negative ones. They're looking for positive stories on Star Wars now. They want to give us updates on what's happening with Ahsoka and so on and so forth. So that's what they're going to be looking at, these trades. And I promise you that you know, it's going to get better making content because we're going to have these big Star Wars stories to talk about, and in turn,
For
like
sure.
you said, it trickles down to everything, which means that Marvel's going to, you know, push now, and they're going to try to get better. DC's
DC
going
is
to do the
gonna,
best they
yeah,
can, and
100%.
Harry Potter will do the best it can with this new reboot or whatever it's doing. Game of Thrones, whatever the franchise may be, it's all going to try to do better now because Star Wars just did so well. And
Right.
I feel like we're going to have a lot of stories that are going to put smiles on our faces and things we're going to be excited about. And I'm ready to turn
For sure.
this channel into what I ultimately wanted it to be. And it really, I'm serious, man. This weekend just inspired me so much to try to make this channel what it wanted to be. I think all of us were feeling it, man. We were all feeling the negativity and the slump, but it's time to turn around. I think, you know, I really do. And if there's one thing that Lucasfilm inspired me to do, it's to be positive and to make content positively. This, you know, because these are the style of stories we were getting back in the Force Awakens era. You know what I mean? And the leading up to the Last Jedi. This is the type of stories that we've been waiting on, and it's gonna bode well for everybody. So I'm excited.
100%. The same.
excited.
100%.
For sure. All right, guys. Look, I can't wait to get to watching some Star Wars finally this weekend, because I do, man. I want to have that feeling again. It's a good way to end my weekend, is just watching Star Wars. I'm also going to be editing more content for the channel that is Star Wars based. So what I want everybody to do right now is please hit a like on this video, subscribe to the channel, leave some feedback in the comment section, share this with your friends, and hit the bell for notifications. It's always much appreciated. Make sure you do that so you don't miss any more content that we have for the rest of the celebration here. Once again, I am Don Martino, and this has been Mr. Jose Espinel. Jose, where can people find you before we go?
Yeah, you guys can find me on at all socials at extract gaming _, and also over on Twitch. I live stream and also do live stream now as well on YouTube at the same time, so you guys can go check me out there as well at extract gaming _.
Absolutely. And once again, I've been Dom Martino, and you guys can find me up there at the top, right there at Dom _Martino_ on Twitter, or Dom _Martino _official on Instagram. And then over there at the top left, please follow the Extract Media pages at Extract Media Blog. Always much appreciated. And let us know what you thought of this weekend of Star Wars Celebration. Are you as hyped as we are? If not, that's okay. I want to hear your feelings on why and what you're skeptical about, for sure, man. You definitely have the right to criticize and to be skeptical. I want to have a conversation about it. But hopefully we came in here today and brought your spirits up. Once again, I'm Don Martino. That's been Jose Espinel with Movie Mornings, and we will talk to you guys later.